Today, I'm announcing that the environmental, and I don't think it's much of an announcement, it's already broken out pretty much the last 24 hours, but the Environmental Protection Agency is planning to issue an emergency waiver to allow E15 gasoline that uses more ethanol from homegrown crops to be sold across the United States this summer.
Several congressional leaders have released proposals to provide relief for increasing gas prices, and now they are finally taking action and signing these bills into law. The governor of Georgia has already signed into law a bill that will send payments very soon to people in Georgia out of a state budget surplus of more than $2 billion. Of this surplus, $1.6 billion is being sent back directly to the pockets of Georgia residents who paid state income taxes for at least the last 2 years. The payments will come in three varying amounts depending on how your income and household files taxes. Now, single tax filers or married taxpayers filing separately will receive a $250 check. Head of household filers will receive $375, and then married joint filers will receive a payment worth $500. At the time the law was signed, the state said only that it would be sending out the payments in the coming weeks, and the Georgia Department of Revenue has finally announced an official timeline for when you can expect to get your check. State officials have said that eligible Americans should start arriving their checks in 4 to 6 more weeks, and that would roughly mean people should start seeing the payments from about May 4th to May 18th, and which is really great news. Now, the 2022 tax season is swiftly coming to an end, but the commissioner of the IRS warned this week that many taxpayers could see delays in their refunds, as the agency confronts a worker shortage and severe backlog of unprocessed returns. While testifying before the Senate Finance Committee, Chuck Reddick acknowledged that continuing fallout from the crisis and the many tax changes, including the federal relief measures, is likely to delay tax refunds for some filers this year. Chuck Reddick said the IRS is
an issue with this on the coordination factor. Can you go through an RDOF region if you're connecting two different, say, counties? How are you doing on that? You said you were going to put together a committee to work on this. I mean, we're still not getting the good answers here.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. I was in South Carolina Friday with Whip Clyburn, and I met with community people, and the same thing came up. You know, how do we do this? So I think that at our level, the White House is coordinating an interagency so that Mitch Landrieu gets us all together on a regular basis and our teams together.
The gas pumps that can handle higher blends of bioethanol and diesel fuel. Of course, there's more we need to do to bring down the prices for American families. We're also working to address food prices, because right now, farmers aren't getting a fair deal nationwide, and neither are families at the grocery store. Back in July, I signed an executive order to promote competition to help level the playing field for many family farmers and ranchers, because, as many of you here know better than anyone, that 4 big companies control more than half the market for beef, pork, and poultry, giving ranchers very few choices about who to sell to get their product. These big conglomerates drive down prices they pay farmers, and even as they drive up prices at the grocery store.
Serving more people and entities in a global environment than ever before, while handling new and bigger responsibilities. At the time, we have experienced delays in updating our IT systems, which means the IRS and taxpayers must continue to use certain paper-based processes. And although the IRS is planning a hiring spree this tax season to process 20 million returns, the agency has so far onboarded just 2,000 of the 10,000 new workers that it intended to hire. There are roughly 2.7 million paper returns from 2021 and 2.3 million returns from 2022 that have not yet been processed. By comparison, the IRS usually enters the tax filing season with fewer than 1 million remaining items to address. Still, Chuck Reddick noted the IRS has cleared about 90% of the error resolution backlog. As of April 1st, the tax collecting agency has processed more than 89 million returns and issued more than 63 million refunds, worth a collective $204 billion. The average payment so far is worth $3,352, much larger than last year's average of around $2,800, though it may change by the April 18th deadline. There are fresh challenges facing the IRS this year as well. Taxpayers will have to reflect the monthly child tax credit payments and the stimulus checks that they received in 2021 on their returns, further complicating matters and increasing the likelihood of errors and delays in processing returns. Reddick has also previously noted that the agency is really understaffed before the hiring spree. It had 20,000 fewer staff than it did in 2010, and its budget is roughly $11.4 billion, 20% less than it was in 2010, when adjusted for inflation. In addition, according to the Congressional Budget Office, more than 20% of the IRS customer service workforce has been unable to work for crisis-related health reasons over the last 2 years.